On this week's episode of Pop Culture Weekly, we celebrate all things Madonna and her 50 number ones. There's only one queen, and that's Madonna. Bitch, let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Hello, and welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and today it is all about Madonna, the queen of pop, top-selling female artist in history. She is releasing today, depending on when you listen to this, her brand new compilation, Finally Enough Love, 50 number ones. That's freaking insane. 50 number ones. Like, insane. The compilation is available on streaming, on digital, on physical, on CD and vinyl, everywhere you get your music. And it's pretty insane. She has personally curated this collection, which has remixes, dance remixes, instead of the traditional album or single version. So that's really cool because, you know, she has now had, I believe, 52 number one hits on the dance charts on Billboard, with her 52nd being currently the Queen's remix of Break My Soul from Beyonce. So, and that is number one right now, the Queen's remix. Kind of apropos, whatever, that, you know, she is number one while her 50 number ones compilation is out. So that's really awesome. This compilation is incredible. There's more than 220 minutes of music. It's mostly in chronological order. There's a couple of things that are out of order, but otherwise it is. I'm not sure why those couple of songs are out of chronological order. And then there's the features. 4 minutes, she had Justin Timberlake and Timbaland. Me Against the Music was technically a Britney Spears featuring Madonna song. Nicki Minaj on Bitch I'm Madonna. And they were all newly remastered by the incredible Mike Dean, who co-produced her Rebel Heart and Madam X albums with her. So awesome talent. So Madonna was the first artist to release a remix collection that was You Can Dance back in 1987. And You Can Dance was a huge success. It sold 5 million copies, and it included remixes of tracks from her first 3 studio albums, which Madonna, Like a Virgin, and True Blue. It included one new track, Spotlight, and it went on, I think I said, to sell over 5 million copies in the United States alone and topped the charts in a number of other countries. Spotlight was the only single released from the album, and that was only in Japan. However, due to airplay, it did actually chart on Billboard at number 32. It is the second highest selling remix album of all time, behind only Blood on the Dance Floor from the King of Pop, Michael Jackson. That is a pretty incredible feat. Number 3 of the top-selling best remix albums is Love by the Beatles. Linkin Park's Reanimation at number 4. J to the L-O, the remix is number 5. Number 6, Shut Up and Dance mixes, Paula Abdul, number 6. Just some interesting other entries on the top-selling best remix albums chart. Justin Bieber at number 8 with Never Say Never, the remixes with 2 million copies. Lady Gaga's The Remix at number 18 with 500,000 copies sold. Shakira at number 19 with The Remixes with 500,000 sold as well. So once again, Madonna just setting the standard for the entire industry. So, you know, that's just on the remix aspect. She is the most remixed act. She has the Guinness World Record for that. She has been remixed and sampled more than any other artist, with her songs being remixed over 600 times. She also, world record-wise, has had the largest internet pop concert, her 2008 show at the Brixton Academy in London, where it was broadcast live over the internet. That was 11 million people watched her perform, which smashed the previous record of 3 million from Paul McCartney. Other interesting world records she holds: the largest gathering of people dressed as Madonna back in 2014, 440 people came together to dress as Madonna. And she holds the Guinness World Record for top-selling female artist in history, with over 400 million albums and singles sold. She is only beat by the Beatles, Michael Jackson, and Elvis, who obviously have all passed away. She is the highest-selling living artist by a large margin. And her first greatest hits, the Immaculate Collection, which I believe was released back in 1990, has sold over 30 million copies worldwide. So it is the best-selling greatest hits album by a solo artist. Most tickets ever sold by a female artist, with over 11 million tickets sold worldwide. 11 million. It's almost 12 million. It's 11.67 million tickets sold worldwide. The highest by far for any female music star. And what's interesting is that comparatively, compared to all these guys that are on the list, she's toured probably only half as much as they have. So they got a huge leg up on her with all the tours that they have done. First artist to gross $1 billion from tours. And that's only, by the way, since 1990, which is when they started keeping track. Only since 1990. She's the highest grossing solo touring artist of all time, as she, since from 1990 to 2022, has had over 1.5 billion ticket sales, and that's all solo. All solo. This isn't any package tour with another artist. This is her by herself. Highest grossing tour by a female artist was Confessions Tour, her Confessions Tour back in 2006, which was then she broke her own record and became the highest grossing tour by a solo artist with the Sticky and Sweet Tour. Highest grossing music tour with 3.2 million gross per concert for the Confessions Tour. I mean, it really just goes on and on and on and on. It's insane the amount of records that she has broken in her career. She has set the standard for every artist, male or female, afterwards, bar none. So, in any event, enough of the records that Madonna has broken, because this would be a 7-hour podcast. So what I'm going to do is, if you go to popcultureweekly.com, you can go and see all the content, the blog posts and stuff that I created surrounding this, with one is on her records broken and all that kind of stuff. So go check that out for more info on that. I have a very special guest today. He's a lot of fun, and I've known him for a long time, and he's a great guy. Mike Killmon, I would say, besides being a Madonna superfan, is a Madonna expert. He is in the industry, so he has a unique take as well. You know, he's a music executive, and I really appreciate him coming on to talk all things Finally Enough Love 50 number ones. So without further ado, let's get the party started. I should have had a whole bunch of references to joke with, like, where's the party? Oh, I don't know. Let's invite Mike Killmon to start it. So here we are. It's a celebration of Madonna's 50 number ones, Finally Enough Love. Here we go. I am here. I'm very excited because, one, it's a celebration.
Holiday.
I am here with the one and only Mike Killmon, who is a music industry executive and Madonna fan, which how could you not be? Welcome, Mike, to Pop Culture Weekly.
Thank you for having me. Finally.
I know. Seriously. And it's the perfect, well, that's why when this came up, I'm like, it's the perfect reason for you to come on, and it is perfect for you too, you know?
Fun. I love to do it. I love to be here and I love to talk about my favorite human ever.
Absolutely. And there's something wrong with you if she's not your favorite human ever. Madonna this week, depending on when you're listening, if you're listening the day this comes out, like you obviously should be listening the day it comes out, latest compilation, Finally Enough Love, 50 number ones, is out on streaming and physical and vinyl and digital, and 50 freaking number ones is absolutely insane. Don't you think? Like, that's crazy.
Incredible. Consistent number ones. There's no gaps. There's no comebacks.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of legacy artists, no shade. Yeah. You know, they come and go and ebb and flow, and maybe they'll have a hit every 10 years. These are consistent since the day she gave her tape to that DJ at Danceteria until, you know, this week with Beyonce.
Yeah.
The remix, number one. Here's Vogue back on the charts. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, consistent number ones.
It's insane. And, you know, even I was looking through as we were doing show prep, and by we, I mean my staff of me, while I was doing show prep, you know, I'm looking through and I'm just like, it really is astounding. There is, like you said, there's no gap. And these are soundtracks to so many people. Pop music for sure, radio for sure, you know, over 400 million records sold. I mean, this is not, it pisses me off when people are like, oh, Madonna, like blah, blah, blah. I mean, I realize she's gotten that her whole career, but like, you're an idiot if you don't give her props. Plain and simple.
Even the haters, like, they're still talking about her.
Mm-hmm.
They have been since she came out. They will be long after. She'll still be around. She'll outlive all of us.
Yes.
And she'll still be putting out hits. We'll be doing this special 20 years later with 100 number ones.
Right.
Because there's no signs of slowing down. I mean, and they're just timeless. They're from Everybody to I Don't Search, I Find with Honey Dijon. Like, they're just great. She makes great music. She makes great records. And she's a part of that as a producer, as a writer. Like, nobody can write a hook, a pop music hook like Madonna. She curates the remixes herself. She's so hands-on and she's so passionate about it. And I think that's what gives to the longevity of it. And people love it, even if they say they don't. The numbers say otherwise.
Exactly. I love that because, you know, that's what it comes down to is you can hate her all you want, but she brings the receipts in the charts, in the sales, in the tickets sold. I mean, to me, it's not a Madonna problem. It's a you problem if you don't like.
And she's having fun.
Yep.
And she looks great. And the thing is, like, let her have fun. And if you have fun with her, it's a celebration, no pun intended. Like, it's fun to go with her. You don't have to, you know, this ageism, this sexism. It's cool to critique Madonna like, oh, she looks awful. She's too old. She needs to retire. She needs to sit down. It's like, no, just have fun. Like, I wish I looked like that at 24, let alone 64.
Right.
I know she doesn't like when we bring up her age. She's ageless. She's timeless. But
it's 64 in human years. It's like 30 in Madonna years.
You know, and everybody gets into the groove, whether they want to admit it or not. I think it's fun to see this new generation kind of discovering her on TikTok.
Yeah.
And, you know, with shows like Stranger Things and the remixes with Saucy Santana and Beyonce and more to come. Probably throughout the year. And as she's working on her film, her visual autobiography, not biopic. You know, and nobody does it like her. She's such a bad bleep.
Yep, you can say it.
Yeah, she's just a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
And like, your favorite could never. I mean, the sex book erotica, they're great pieces of art, but they're bold and like as edgy and as controversial as people want to be, you know, in the moment. Like she paved the way, but it stands the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
And especially you can tell on these records when you're listening through to these remixes and the originals, they're just great records.
They really are.
Art. And the videos are art. That's why they're in MoMA. And, you know, that's the exciting thing about Madonna. And I love the YouTube reaction videos of people watching her tours and videos for the first time. And they're like, what?
And
like,
yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, there would not be what we see in pop concerts today if it wasn't for Madonna. She opened that door for all of them. You know, there would be no Beyonce. And by the way, I got literally all kinds of like death threats and all kinds of stuff when I made a comment about Beyonce a couple weeks ago on Twitter, which is a piece that I'm bringing my own receipts for those people. But there would be no Beyonce or Justin Timberlake or Britney or any of these people without Madonna, and every one of them would agree with that.
You
know, from the empowerment of being a woman in the music industry and then starting your own label and kind of taking control of your career, that had not happened before at the level that it did with Madonna, and that changed the music industry, and which changed music, you know?
Totally. I mean, she sets the narrative. She's the queen.
She is.
She continues to. So in 20 years from now, when, I don't know, Christina Aguilera is in her 60s and dancing around in a bra and whatever, and people won't raise an eyebrow, just remember that when Madonna was doing it, all the heat that she got, and she'll probably still be doing it.
Right.
Don't get it twisted. She's the healthiest woman in entertainment. She's probably the smartest woman in entertainment.
I agree.
And one of the smartest in business in general. I mean, she's just so involved in every single aspect of her career. And that's what it's authenticity in the narrative. And it's her narrative. And that's not marketing. That's not a group of people trying to figure out, like, what are we going to do to be relevant? This is the producer you need to work with. She's just going to go with her instinct like she always has. She's an incredible artist and have fun and just go with it and do it and get into her groove. And I hope with this release, like Finally Enough Love, like people will be like, yeah, this is fun. Oh yeah, we remember, like, all the BS aside, like all of the social media commentary, like trolling, like whatever. That's in the moment. That's a second. That is what it is. It's irrelevant to an artist like Madonna, whose legacy and music and just presence in everybody's life is undeniable, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Whether you're in a club, like the trendiest club in LA or New York or London or Amsterdam or Tokyo, like everybody's going to know that song. They're going to know it's Madonna. Or if you're grocery shopping or at Walgreens or CVS, like waiting for your prescription, and you're like, oh yeah, like Borderline comes on or Vogue or whatever, a Ray of Light, and you're like, yes. But then at the same time, it comes on at the club and it's the same reaction. Except, you know, she just transcends.
Absolutely. And, there are, I would say, the Beatles, Michael Jackson, and Elvis are really, the group, with Madonna. I mean, there really are no other, and obviously she's the only female in that group. There are no peers. You know what I mean? There are no peers.
She's always been a unicorn, though, right? But there's room to love everybody else. Like I love Janet Jackson too.
Of course,
I love Cher. I love Madonna. There's, it doesn't have to be like
either or.
I love Janet. We hate Madonna. Like music makes the people come together. There's room to love everybody. Like Finally Enough Love. There's enough to go around.
Exactly,
right?
And amen
Calm
to that.
Down, have fun. Like let's collaborate. Like let's just enjoy the moment, enjoy the music, enjoy the show that she's putting on, and be a part of it. And that's the general essence of her, I think. And I think that's what makes her so enigmatic and so impressive and so relatable, whether people like to think that or not, or admit it publicly or
absolutely.
Whatever.
Absolutely.
And she's done it on her own terms as a woman from the 80s and 90s, 2000s to now. It says a lot.
Yeah.
Around the world, especially.
Yeah, there are no other artists in her genre or from her time period that are as relevant and impactful today as she is. I mean, there's just isn't at that level. It just doesn't happen. She is one of one. But as you said, that doesn't mean that Beyonce Bayhive, who attacked me last week, that doesn't mean that there is not space for other artists that are also amazing and talented and great music and great show. Like there's room, there's room. So
there's room for everybody. Yeah. There's a Madonna reference for everybody.
So tell me, what are some of your favorite Madonna number ones?
This is such a hard question. Dance number ones or Hot 100 number ones?
Dance number ones.
I'm going to have to say I am partial and I'm biased to Tracy Young's remixes. I love Tracy Young's remix of I Rise.
That is
which she won a Grammy for.
Yeah.
First female producer, I think, to win a Grammy for I Rise.
That category. Yeah, that is a really, really, really good remix of an amazing song.
Incredible and moving and important. And the fact that she performed songs like that in countries like Russia, where it's illegal. Like Madonna does a lot for all kinds of communities, marginalized and otherwise.
Yeah.
Which, but back to the music. Some of my other favorite ones. I love What It Feels Like for a Girl, the Above and Beyond remix.
One of my favorites.
Nothing Really Matters, that Club 69 remix. I tend to go back and forth between like these deep house cuts and the more pop leaning ones.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many and they're so different.
They are.
So many we haven't heard yet. The early William Orbit remixes of like Justify My Love and Erotica, those are just gritty and amazing. And you can't ask me what my favorite number one is because I'm going to literally sit here and name all 50.
All 50. What about the album versions or single versions of her 50 number one hits? If you had to pick some of your and of course it would be different if I asked you next week too, right?
Oh yeah, it totally depends on them.
Absolutely.
So I mean, Ray of Light did not hit number one on the pop charts, but that's definitely up there. I love her ballads too, even though we're in a dance mood. We're dancing right now, celebrating, but songs like This Used to Be My Playground are just like timeless. Their own. Music holds a special place in my heart. I worked at Sam Goody when that single came out specifically for that reason.
Oh, did you work there for that? That's awesome.
Well, I wanted to work there since I was 2. I was lucky enough to grow up with older brothers and sisters, so we had a jukebox with 45s, and I became obsessed with Material Girl. I was like 2, so I had this Barbie, and then my parents bought me the album and the tape, and so I used to put my Like a Virgin cassette tape into my Teddy Ruxpin.
That's awesome.
And, there was no coming out needed from me. But we used to go to,
Teddy Ruxpin did it for you.
In my gym in the hologram stalls to play, perform. And to Madonna. I would badger this manager at the mall from when I was a little kid. I was like, "Can I work here?" And she's like, "When you're 16, come back and ask me for a job." So on my 16th birthday, I got my license that morning, went right over to Sam Goody, and I was like, "I'm 16, I'm ready to start." They were like, "Okay, Mike." It was in August, and music was just coming out. So that one holds a special place in my heart.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it still hits. it's such a great record.
It is. And I love for you that, and that's one of my favorites too, music. But I love for you how that has such meaning for you. And then really it kind of set the course of the rest of your life.
It did. Shout out Liz Rosenberg.
There you go.
I was like, it's this bold 16-year-old. Email was new-ish at the time. And I was like, my name's Mike Killmon, and I work at Sam Goody in Salisbury, Maryland. And I won a sales record for the music album. And she was like, okay, hit me when you get to college. So again, like, we'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
And like first day of school, like roll into Fordham. I'm like, oh, I can't do orientation. I need to find Liz Rosenberg. Like,
that's so awesome.
Okay, when you're a junior, let me know.
And then you took the accelerated program at school.
Yeah, and I love American Life.
That is such a great song, and I feel like it's so underrated.
The whole album is. Yeah,
it honestly is probably my top three. It goes back and forth. The top three favorite Madonna albums is American Life, and
same.
I feel like American Life, the single, got a lot of heat for that rap, which I thought was ironic because it was like she's in on the joke, like that's the point. And then people were like, "What?" Like I don't, it was, but it's such a good song. I love that song.
Yeah, I love American Life, the album, the single. People don't they don't understand her sense of humor. She's got probably one of the best sense of humor out there. Like she's funny, she's ironic, and a lot of that goes over people's heads.
Yeah.
But, and then trailing right off of American Life, like what a great record. Like you've never heard anything like this. And then you go into Hollywood, like amazing.
Yeah.
And like, what a record. Like, people go revisit this album and these singles. Yeah, those are my favorites. I love the newer material. A lot of my favorites did not hit number one. A lot of them weren't even singles, like Nobody Knows Me.
That is actually one of my favorites off of music. Actually, one of my favorites of all of hers. Should have been a single. Oh, what did I say?
Music.
Yes.
Well, we can talk about music. I mean, Amazing should have been a single.
Amazing was a good one. I'm actually surprised. Amazing. Impressive Instant was another one. Oh my God. Yeah. Impressive Instant. I feel like we need a hashtag for justice for Impressive Instant and justice for Nobody Knows Me, because they are two songs that needed to be singles and weren't. And they're
never
so
say
good.
Never with Madonna. I mean,
especially with TikTok now, and who knows what could happen. So
I can't even go to an airport or to the grocery store and see a conveyor belt without the urge to do the choreography of Nobody Knows Me from the Reinvention Tour. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go on YouTube and look it up. And that's choreography on a conveyor belt. That's Nobody Knows Me. That remix.
From her recent stuff, you said you've been loving a lot of her recent hits. What would you say are a couple of your faves?
I mean, I think Living for Love was genius. It should have been a massive hit.
Me too.
There's still a little bit of ageism in our industry that she's paving the way. She's still pounding that wall down. Ghost Town was such a great record. The Rebel Heart era was plagued with leaks and rushes, but I still think it was amazing. I loved Medellin with Maluma. It's so hard for me to narrow it down because they're all so different.
Yeah. And they're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're great. They're amazing. And I'm Addicted from MDNA.
That is a great song.
And that's just so high energy and just like frantic and fun. And then you have songs like Masterpiece, which won the Golden Globe on the same record. Like, there's a song for every mood. There's a song for every vibe. So, asking me what my favorites are is tricky.
Tough.
You know what? I want to rewind because I think my all-time favorite, one of them, it varies, but it stays in the top three, is Erotica.
That is a great song.
it is, I just love it. I always have since it came out. I was in 4th grade. I got the cassette single and I got the CD maxi single and the CD single. And then when the album came out in October, my parents got it for me, and the edited version, of course, I brought it into school. I got suspended. So I wear it as a badge of honor, but it was a great album, and it is a great album. That's also overlooked by the culture.
It is an overlooked one. I think for me, Living for Love for sure. Off of her, out of her 50 number ones from Finally Enough Love, Living for Love is totally hashtag justice for Living for Love. Celebration should have been a giant smash, played on every single radio station ever. And that pisses me off.
It's not too late.
It is not too late. Give It to Me is another one that is just so good, and I absolutely loved it. And then Like a Prayer, I think will always have a place in my heart as a Catholic, recovering Catholic. And Into the Groove is another classic one, especially the mix on Finally Enough Love, which I believe is what the You Can Dance mix or something. Mm-hmm. It's in my opinion, it is a easily accessible remix for the general public. It's not like a crazy remix that you would hear in a club and you would feel out of place to the general public. I love that about it. It's just like a fresh take, even though it's 30 years old or whatever it is. It's like a fresh take if you're hearing it today on a classic song. And that song is just so incredible.
I love it. I mean, Into Groove, that's one of those songs where you hear it at the grocery store, CVS or wherever, and also in the club. The same remix. Yeah. It could be the remix from Finally Enough Love, and it still hits.
Yeah.
Like, it just fits everywhere. I love that about this compilation, too, the way it kind of eases from kind of not, I don't want to say softer remixes, but more accessible, more true to the originals. And then, as the 80s progress, as she progresses, the remix go a little bit harder, and then you hit those 90s. And then by the time you hit, Bedtime Story and Secret and Human Nature, and then especially with Frozen and Ray of Light music, and then then we're in the club. But it's such a great listening experience, both versions, the 50 number ones and the 16 track one. Like, it's just such a journey. Everything she does is cathartic, and it's organic, and it's accessible, and it's fun.
Yeah. Oh, which reminds me, as you're saying, accessible and fun, Hung Up is one of my all-time favorites. So I'm with you. I would have a really, really, really hard time putting my personal top 10 together because it's just going to change every day, probably.
Yeah, and Justice for Future Lovers.
Oh, that was a great track. And the opening on Confessions Tour was
Future Lovers.
Yeah, and it was just took you to another world, hearing that rumble and all. It was just crazy.
I mean, Stuart Price, just such a genius.
Yeah.
Mixed with Donna Summer and the visuals and just that bass line.
Yeah.
The woman knows how to put on a show.
Absolutely.
And remix it. And
keep it fresh.
I love that. Remix and revisited.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. That was a great one. I remember that. That was what, Gap, right?
Yeah, that Into the Hollywood Groove with Missy Elliott, that was part of that compilation.
Yeah, that was a cool little side note of Madonna's career, I feel like. I feel like it wasn't like a crazy big thing, but it was just like a fun campaign.
Yeah, it was something cool. It was Missy and Madonna just remixing and revisiting Into the Groove in Hollywood, and then maybe a little bit overshadowed by the VMA performance, which is so iconic, never can be replicated or duplicated.
Yeah.
Like, who would think, what was it, the 2003 VMAs, like Madonna kissing Christina and Britney would be such a huge controversy, and people would freak out. Like, now, and what year is it? 2022?
Right.
People would be like,
Right.
But if Madonna
Exactly.
did it, I'm sure they would have something to say about it.
Absolutely.
Again, paving the way, like just simple things. But behind all of those, not stunts, performances
Mm-hmm.
are great records. Like I think she performed the Thin White Duke remix of Hollywood.
Yes. Yeah.
With, not on 50 number ones, but I think there's another remix on this compilation. But you know, even the remixes, there's something for everybody. They're all so different. And the fact that she curates them and co-produces them with the remixers and is in the studio working with the engineers and the producers and the writings, it's just so, as a musician, it's so impressive.
Yeah.
And don't give her credit behind the boards.
Absolutely.
You know, Madonna behind the boards.
And even for Finally Enough Love, she worked with Mike Dean, who, of course, she worked with on Madam X and I believe Rebel Heart, you know, kind of remastering these to sound absolutely incredible, crisp, just like they were released today, you know. And I love that. And who would do that themselves? What artist would do that themselves, you know? And I love that about her, that she doesn't leave it to other people ever.
Absolutely not. She's the queen.
Of course.
This is her legacy. That's why everything it's again so authentic, because it's coming from her. It's coming from an authentic place. And she's a dancer. She understands musicality, but she's also a musician. She was a drummer. And you know, and she's learned, and you can hear the growth in the production from her. And you know, working with Monty as a guitarist. It's just so incredible. There's just so many different, this conversation could go on for days.
It literally could.
The variations of great Madonna records and different genres that she touches on, but they all come from an authentic place because, you know, nobody's one dimensional.
Yeah.
And her music's not one dimensional. There's up, there's down, there's all around. It's all about survival.
What was that? Erotica, right? The record?
Bedtime Stories.
It was the Bedtime Stories record?
Yeah.
Survival,
yeah. Yeah, and she really just doesn't give a fuck. She just wants to make great music and say what she has to say and keep it moving. There are, you know, songs of hers are like tattoos. They're like markers in her life. You can remember where you were when you heard it.
Yeah.
Takes you back to a time. And with this compilation, create new memories.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, you know, I was out in the UK a few weeks ago at kind of this underground hip hop club. And all of a sudden it was like, you know, I don't have the street cred to say who these underground rappers are and like, you know, what the streets are listening to. But then all of a sudden this remix of Human Nature comes on and I'm like, wait a minute. Like I just damn it. I'm like, this is an official Madonna remix. Like it just fit right in. So like, and again, authentic, because that's just who she is.
Mm-hmm.
She's a woman of the people, of all of them.
Absolutely. So we asked our Pop Culture Weekly listeners and iHeartRadio listeners across the country, what are their top 10 favorite Madonna number ones? I love that.
I'm nervous.
I know. I just peeked at this, and this is pretty cool. We're going to start back from number 10. So the 10th most favorite Madonna number one out of her 50 number ones is Ray of Light, which is such a good song. And every time that she has done this on tour, I think is a highlight of that show.
Incredible. Electric guitar version?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Techno version? Sure. Sasha remix? Sure. Calderon remix? Done. Like, and can you imagine like trying to perform that song live the way that she does? Not at all. Performing it, singing it live, and then dancing to it. I get out of breath like just trying to, after the first like, and like I'm like trying to like, you know, and I'm like, whew. Like, and she's just rocking out, dancing it, like.
Yeah, it really is, to me, just an incredible song. And I love that. I love, like you said, all the different versions live. And you've got to hear it, go. And I'll do that in a piece for this show, in a blog post. So go to popcultureweekly.com or your, favorite iHeartRadio station's website and click on Kyle. And you will get the piece that I'm talking about. And also, I guess it would help if I just put it in the show notes. Where we'll have some of her best performances, because you've got to experience Ray of Light live. So good. Number 9, Music. Love this song. And it is well deserved. Number 8.
I'm surprised I'm surprised that Ray of Light and Music are 10 and 9.
I know. I'm actually surprised at the order of this list. And I think it's interesting. So, all right, number 8, Express Yourself.
I mean,
great song.
Yeah. Don't go for second best, baby.
Never. And that includes for Tinder, too. So, number, what am I? 10, 9, 8. I'm bad at math. 7.
Yeah, Wait,
right?
7. Let me 7.
Yeah. 10 is Ray of Light. 9 is Music. 8 is Express Yourself. 7 is Erotica.
Yeah.
Which I am really surprised to see that as the 7th favorite Madonna number 1.
Progress.
Yeah, absolutely. So apparently there's justice for Erotica out there. Number 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, Secret. Such a good song. And I was genuinely happy that Secret is on there, because I feel like it's overlooked. But apparently, to Pop Culture Weekly listeners, to iHeartRadio listeners, it is not an overlooked Madonna song.
They've got taste. What can you say?
I love our audience.
Secret it's so great. It's just so, I mean, they could throw it on into rotation today and it fits. All of these actually do.
Yeah, they really do. That's kind of the incredible thing, is any of these songs could be played today, and it wouldn't be out of place with whatever else is being played.
Secret, it's such a jam.
It is, and I love the cool vibe, like the guitar vibe, and then the little piano, the do 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 do.
Yeah.
I love that.
Overshadowed by the controversy that preceded it with Erotica.
Yeah.
And unfortunately.
Yeah, it really is. I'm really happy to see Secret on here.
Me too.
Number 5, Frozen, which is another good song. Somebody posted something on Twitter or something yesterday of Madonna performing Frozen. I want to say it was for the first time, and it was at like the National Lottery concert or something.
Okay.
In
an all black leather dress or something.
Yes. With big puffy balls on her shoulder, and or whatever they're called. Clearly, I'm a fashionista. It was like the UK, like a lottery thing. And apparently it was like the most watched series in the UK or something. So she did that, and it was really, really cool. And I had forgotten just how incredibly powerful that song is. Those strings, just everything about it is just such a great song.
What a game changer that was. Yeah. I just remember being in 9th grade and it coming out, and MTV and VH1 and everybody, it was like Madonna. And, this new Madonna, this ethereal, Kabbalistic mother Madonna. And you're like, okay, cool, whatever. I love Madonna. I mean, I've always been on the Madonna train. So you're coming off of Evita and people were like, man, she's not that cool. But I remember everybody in my high school, even the street guys, were like, when Frozen came out, you couldn't avoid it. And you were just like, what am I watching? And this is incredible. What is this sound?
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous, and it was cool, and it was electronic, and it was different, and it was just it was such a vibe. And then the remixes, obviously, that was actually the first time I think that I always collected the maxi singles.
Yeah.
myself on CD and like decorated my room with them. But until the Ray of Light era is when I really started to appreciate the remixes and actually enjoy them and listening to them. And the Frozen remixes, I was like, these are dope. Like,
and I feel like it was a bold choice to go with a ballad for the first single, especially coming off of Something to Remember and Evita, and then kind of. Or maybe it wasn't, I mean, well, obviously it wasn't. But.
I mean, I'm sure there was some record label executive that would just like come back with Ray of Light as the first single and hit them like with the big new reinvented Madonna, like dance banger anthem reinvented. And people forget that that was her label.
Right.
So she called the shots and she said, thank you very much for your opinion, but I'm going with Frozen.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And, it was bold and it clearly worked. So I just think that's pretty incredible looking back on it now that was the first single. Because, like you said, the easy thing to do would have been to throw out Ray of Light and to go with Frozen. It's such a good song.
Smart.
Absolutely. So that was 5, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Yes. Number 4 is Like a Prayer, one of the greatest songs of all time.
I was expecting Like a Prayer to be number 1.
I know.
Just because it usually is.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like a lot of fans really put some thought into this. And I think I told you we had over 8,000 votes on this. So that, in like less than 24 hours. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, how long is that poll was out for like 10 minutes?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like they did really, really put some thought into this because these were not the songs that I were expecting for the top 10 or the order that I was expecting them to be in. So pretty cool. And of course,
iconic.
Exactly.
Every single one of them iconic and also different.
Exactly. That's the other thing about this is, if you didn't know who Madonna was because you lived under a rock for the last 40 years and you heard these songs, you'd be like, that's different artists or whatever. You know what I mean? That'd be like, it would be hard to fathom that these are all from the same person.
Right.
And they are.
Like a Prayer is that song that comes on at a bar, at a street bar, at a gay bar, at wherever you are, and everybody is singing along. Yep. On the school bus, like in the car. Like it's like that jam and everybody loves it. It's that song. It's kind of like, Like a Prayer and Into the Groove of Vogue, whatever. I know I'm going off on a tangent.
Oh, you're
but
fine.
Like, people hear these songs and they can't help themselves.
Absolutely.
In my personal experience, Like a Prayer is that one that really gets everybody on their feet and singing along and into that good mood. So I'm surprised that it's in the middle.
I know. Me too.
One,
but when you have 50 number ones, it is hard to, you know what I mean? It's hard to put everything in. Is there the fire alarm?
If you've learned anything.
Hopefully the building's not on fire. Anyway, sorry.
That's because these songs are so hot.
That's exactly right.
Right.
We are catching the building on fire.
Are we burning up?
Which is another incredible Madonna song. I really hope we're not on fire. But anyway, I'm sure I'll see smoke or something. Number 3, Into the Groove. Such a classic. We talked about that one. Iconic. Number 2, Hung Up. I am so glad to see that so high. So glad to see that so high.
Kids, they love Hung Up.
I remember that music video film come out and just being astounded by the whole thing. Everybody was playing that song everywhere. Old, young, black, white, didn't matter. Just that was just such a massive hit.
And again, before people were jumping on the dance music, Euro pop train, whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
Like she just completely switched it up and was like, I'm going to do a disco album.
Yep.
And I'm going to sample ABBA. And I think that's the first time ABBA actually let somebody sample
him. Yeah. And Dua Lipa, who I absolutely love, her album Future Love Songs or whatever. What's it called? Future Nostalgia. There you go. I absolutely love that album from front to back. However, that album could not exist without Confessions on a Dance Floor. I mean, it's just facts.
I mean, hung up. Another one, you just hear it and people they just want to dance.
Yeah.
And yeah, such a great one.
It really is.
You know, and she felt that summer, right? She fell off her horse on her birthday, I guess this week, and broke, I don't remember how many bones it was.
Yeah.
Like collarbones, ribs, shoulders, and then I guess hung up. Confessions came out in November 2005. That was when I was at Island Def Jam, and Queen MC saw my Queen M poster. All that I was talking about earlier. They love each other, by the way.
Yeah. And how could you not?
Yeah, despite what the blogs or the rumors, like they love and respect each other. Queen MC, Queen M, there's room for everyone.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, anyway, so she had broken all of these bones in August, and I guess they shot the video maybe in October or whenever it came out, and there she was doing Dance Dance Revolution with these teenagers.
Yeah.
Like nothing had, like she hadn't skipped a beat, and she looked great. I'm sure it hurt.
Yeah.
But you could tell, and then she went on that tour.
Yeah, which was insane to do after an accident like that, and then go and do all these extremely dance-oriented projects, including a freaking world tour. You know, just
nuts. The choreography for that project alone, the videos, the roller skating, and Sorry.
Oh, Sorry is a great one. Yeah.
I mean,
and Get Together. I love that one too.
People love Get Together.
And they love to get together. Number one, what do you think it is? Yes, exactly. Vogue.
Hey!
Number one is Vogue. And I love that because that is such an iconic song.
How can you?
And it is kind of ironic, or not ironic, but interesting because it is back at number one this week with the Queen's remix of Break Your Soul, Break My Soul, Break My Soul. And
thank you, Madonna, for giving Beyonce. Is this her first number one single in how many years?
14.
Ooh.
14 years.
Thank you, Madonna. We love you, Beehive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Vogue's having a moment.
Yeah, it's very apropos. Apropos.
It's a banger. It's a classic. People love it. Strike a pose and live your life on the dance floor.
And the music video, I mean, is iconic. You know, that old Hollywood glamour mixed with, you know, kind of like house. Just the whole thing is just iconic. And that's why iHeartRadio and Pop Culture Weekly listeners have dubbed it their number one Madonna hit. If you had to guess, out of her 50 number ones, what do you think were the three least voted for?
I'm going to say maybe Nothing Fails.
No, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, I love Nothing Fails.
Yeah, of course. And let's, at the end of the day, we are talking about the least voted for number one hits. You know what I mean? So it's not like any of these are bad. We're still talking about number one hits.
Maybe Crave?
No. I love Crave.
Oh, my God. I'm edit.
Number three, the third least voted for was Turn Up the Radio, which, first of all, rude. This is on iHeartRadio. So, guys, what the hell?
People have a love-hate relationship with it. They either love it or they hate it. One of my best friends, a huge Madonna fan, loathes that song. I love it. I think it's fun and catchy.
So what's interesting is when that album came out, I absolutely loved it. And I'm like, oh, you know, it's cool. Like, turn up the radio and blah, 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 blah. And now I'm like, meh.
Yeah.
You know, and it just might be the mood that I'm in, like, in this season of my life. And the next season, I might be like, yeah, turn up the radio, you know. But I just went from absolutely loving it to being like, meh, I don't even know how that happens. But when you have 50 number ones and a catalog of what, 13 studio albums, you know, you're going to have a whole varied bunch of favorites change, as we talked about.
I wonder if she even remembers that one.
I know.
You know, she has so many, and she's like,
The second least voted for number one, Give Me All Your Lovin'.
Okay, so people aren't really feeling MDNA.
Which is interesting because MDNA, Jesus.
Right.
I was going to say MDMA is one of my favorites. MDNA is one of my favorites. I absolutely, really, really, really love that album. And Give Me All Your Lovin', I thought was so appropriate for the Super Bowl. You know, as the lead single off of that album and then performing at the Super Bowl, it just worked. What I really, really love is the MDNA tour version of Give Me All Your Lovin'.
Incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
What was she hanging from the ceiling with pom-poms and strapped and flying all around in a marching band, like recreating the Super Bowl in an arena?
Yeah.
It was, again, an example of Madonna just having fun and just go with it. Don't take it. Not everything's going to be Drowned World, Substitute for Love, Ray of Light, or Hung Up. Like, she's doing the Super Bowl. She wants to do a cheer song. It's fun. She's got Nicki Minaj and MIA. Like, let's do this.
Exactly.
Like, it's fun, but I guess people in this poll really that's not their favorite.
And I bet if we did this next year, these would be a totally different bottom three. So now the number one least voted for, and again, this sounds like it's a bad thing. It's not. It was still number freaking one. You know what I mean? So like the least voted for number one is still a huge, not only achievement, but your faves could never. I'm joking. There's room for everyone, but your faves could never.
Well, there is room for everyone, but your faves could never.
Exactly.
It's an accurate statement. Let me see. Let me try to guess. I'm curious. What are fans' least favorite Madonna remix? I think it was called Born This Way. I'm just kidding.
That's awesome.
No tea, no shade. Just kidding. Pulls up.
Who, if you do you want to guess?
No, because I'm completely missing the mark here.
That's all right. It is, and I actually don't think this one is surprising. It is Me Against the Music. Which makes sense, I think, in certain ways, because I feel like that song should have been so much bigger than it was.
Right. Well, that was also in the aftermath of the VMA kiss.
Oh, yeah. Right?
So a little bit overshadowed, and the controversy around American Life still lingering, and that whole used to be called Dixie Chicks. Now, I guess
the Chicks.
That whole chicks mentality in America. So people really weren't gravitating towards Madonna in 2003 because she was so outspoken, and people didn't want to get chicks. And I think that project and that song, that album, that era was affected by that kind of American fear.
Yeah.
In American Life.
Yeah.
But that's really Britney's song that Madonna is a feature on. So I approve that being their least favorite because it's not really her song.
Mike, thank you so much for speaking with me and celebrating, pun intended, Finally Enough Love, 50 number ones. I'm excited for this release officially and excited for what's to come. There's so much good stuff coming, and I hope you'll come back, come on again, and we'll talk about the next Madonna project.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a blast. We're going to have to edit this heavily because it's probably like a 6-hour long conversation. And holiday celebrate. Finally Enough Love. And it's on vinyl, it just hits different. You know what I mean? And there's so many other songs that didn't hit number one that are worth revisiting. So I feel like there might be a lot more coming down the pipeline in terms of revisiting the catalogs, as well as some new things probably coming because, as we know, she loves to look forward, not necessarily backwards. But I think she's celebrating and enjoying her past successes. And I think this is a good reminder for her that she's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Bitch, I am Madonna.
Exactly.
Look what I did. These are hot.
Exactly. How can you not look at this track list and be like, I did that. I did that shit.
To these songs and not be like, I heart Madonna.
Right.
Hashtag I heart Madonna.
I get it. I heart Madonna. I love it. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, and where can people follow you?
They sure can. Just look for hashtag Madonna. It's probably one of my posts. But I'm at Mike Killmon. I mean, that's just my simple little personal fan accounts on socials, and MikeKillmon. I'm not sure how interesting I am to follow.
I think you got a lot of cool stuff that you're always pushing. So
every once in a while, there are a few breadcrumbs, clues to what's next.
Nice. Well, we got to eat, so keep them coming.
Right. So thank you, Madonna. Thank you, iHeart. Thank you, Kyle. And congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
And can't wait to jump into this weekend and dance and sing, get up and do my thing.
Finally, Enough Love 50 Number Ones is out right now on everything. Streaming, the iHeartRadio app, digital, physical, vinyl, probably carrier pigeon too, probably.
I mean, it's Madonna. Never say never. There's probably a Morse code version coming soon.
All right, you bitches. There it is. My conversation with Mike Killmon all about Madonna. Finally, Enough Love 50 Number Ones. It is out right now. Please go to popcultureweekly.com and check out the blog pieces that I did, with all kinds of Madonna goodness. I also have some pretty cool Madonna-related episodes in the show notes, so you can go to the show notes and see my conversation with Monty Pittman, one of my very, very good friends forever, where we celebrated her birthday a couple of years ago, and there's a whole bunch of Madonna content that we've covered, and it is in the show notes, so go check that out. Also, my upcoming limited series, Death, Grief, and Other Shit We Don't Discuss, which is a very personal project for me. You know, it was about my mom who passed away from cancer last year, and I went around the country and talked to all these experts on various aspects of death and grieving and loss. We do a seance. I talk to near-death experiencers. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff relating to it. So that trailer is out now, and the show comes out August 30th. The first 4 episodes premiere on August 30th. The show, the trailer for the show is out right now. You can, use this app that you're using to listen to Pop Culture Weekly, or go to deathandgrief.show, and that'll get you hooked up with where you need to be. I'd love to know what you think about that. It's obviously very different from this show. That show is much different. A little bit. It's a lot more serious than this show, obviously, just because of the content. But in any event, I love you. Thank you for celebrating Madonna's birthday and the brand new release of Finally Enough Love 50 Number Ones with me and with Mike. And we'll be back next week. I got some really, really awesome things coming up for you that I can't announce yet, but will just the second I'm allowed. Believe me, I can't wait to let you know. Thank you for voting in the poll. I'll have the updated, because we just kept it open for the rest of the week, and I'll have the updated results on that too on popcultureweekly.com. I'll see you next week. I love you. We out.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
Finally, enough love. Finally, enough love. Finally, enough love.